and welcome to another teaching from TorahFamily.org. We are a family-based ministry that believes the whole Bible stands forever, that all of it is based in the Torah, and all of it promotes the Torah. Please visit us at TorahFamily.org for more teachings like this one. We hope this teaching helps you learn and grow in the faith. Men of Yahweh, Chapter 28, Living the Dream. Do you have dreams? Of course you do. We all do. No one is too old to have goals and desires we want to see come to pass. Whether short-term or long-term, we all have something we would like to see happen and experience. But what's the foundation of your dreams? What's the motive for them? And is it your dreams or Yahweh's dreams you're pursuing? It's so easy to see what Yahweh is doing through someone else and then want Yahweh to work in our life that same way. But that may not be what Yahweh has planned for us. We need to keep ourselves in check all the time. We need to constantly make sure we're pursuing what He wants in our lives. While this sounds easy, it's not always that simple. You see, Yahweh wants you to be you. Don't try to live someone else's dream. Don't seek someone else's gifts. It's so easy to look at what others have or can do and then look at what you don't have. He has a plan for you. The only way to find it is to seek Him, not what He's doing through others. Please let that sink in for a moment. It's important to remember that seasons change in many things. What He has for you today may not be what it was yesterday. What He has for you tomorrow may not be what He has for you today. If there's one thing I'm convinced of, it's that every day is a preparation for what's to come. However, if we're constantly looking at what we're not, we won't be able to see what we can be through Him. This will in turn stunt our preparation time for what Yahweh has planned for us. It can cause us to stay where we are for much longer than Yahweh desired. Too often, our desires cause more detours than we may want to admit. Then we want to blame Yahweh for us not moving forward. Yet, it stems from us moving on our own initiatives and not walking in obedience to Him. Our ultimate goal is to please Him, no matter how small the mission He has for us may be. That should be our goal. The phrase we all want to hear is, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Don't seek a position, any position. It's much like the verse we see when James tells people not to seek to be a teacher. James 3:1. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. The problem I've seen with some is that they want to be respected as a teacher, a leader, or someone of importance. But instead of letting Yahweh place them in a role of that nature, they try to elevate themselves. All the while, they miss the place He has for them. While doing many, quote, big things for the Father in the role they created for themselves, they missed the way He truly wanted for them. If there's one thing I'm convinced of in this life, it's that pawns are underrated. Yes, they are very limited in the moves they can make, but they can make a massive difference in the outcome of a game. Please consider this verse for a moment. Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the measure of faith God has given you. When a pawn or any piece thinks more highly of himself than he ought, he starts moving with his own motives. He takes his eyes off the big picture of what Yahweh is doing and starts thinking and seeing the game through his own eyes. He may see a move he can make, which would make him look good, of course. However, he would then leave the place the Father put him in, which would in turn leave others unprotected and open to attack. As I've said before, we're all different for a reason. All are different for a specific purpose in mind by Yahweh. And each of us needs the other to win the war. You'll often find how a little pawn can protect the knights, the rooks, the bishops, and yes, even the queen and king. Every piece is essential and needed, while they may feel they're small and insignificant. When they obey their master, they do far more than they realize. However, when pieces go off to do their own desires, things can quickly go downhill. I believe we underestimate the power in the basics of life too many times. We underestimate the simplicity of just walking in the everyday obedience to the Torah. How easy it is to dream something big, thinking we can reach the masses for the glory of Yahweh. But quite often, the underlying current to that desire is simply wanting others to look at you, thus ultimately seeking your glory in the name of Yahweh's work. Seeking your own glory is a dangerous thing. If we think about it, that's the root of what happened to Satan. So, though it may sound silly, seeking your own glory can be likened to Satanism. This is why we see verses like these when it comes to the work of the Father. 1 Corinthians 10:24. Nobody should seek his own good, but the good of others. 1 Corinthians 10:33. Even as I try to please everybody in every way, for I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved. Yeshua even said, John 8:50, I am not seeking glory for myself, but there is one who seeks it, and he is the judge. This is where it comes down to being content with what the Father has called you to do. Being content in Him and knowing He always has the best in store for you. So don't seek what Yahweh is doing in someone else. Seek what He wants in your life, not what He's doing in someone else's life. When we seek to put in our lives what He's doing in others, it brings discontentment in our hearts. It drags us down. In all of our striving to walk in a gift given to others, we find ourselves living in covetousness. This causes us to constantly live in want, desire, and striving for what others have. This is where we need to be reminded of what Paul said to Timothy. 1 Timothy 6:6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Quite often, people want what others have already taken the time to sharpen. Those others have taken what Yahweh gave them and grew in that talent. But if we would take the time to grow in the skill Yahweh already gave us, we wouldn't be focused on what Yahweh is doing through others. We would focus on what He wants to do through us. All too often, people remain a diamond in the rough by their own doing, or should I say, by what they're not doing. Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. True satisfaction, true fulfillment comes in doing what Yahweh has called us to do. Chasing vain dreams will only leave us empty and constantly looking for more. Thus, we need to strive to make ourselves better in the gifts He's already given us. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of hands. Paul was reminding Timothy to stay focused on what Yahweh had given him. We need that same reminder. Are you working at sharpening what Yahweh gave you? Please remember, we need to keep it sharpened like a pencil. What's your motive? To be seen? or to be used. 1 Peter chapter 4, starting in verse 10. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. If anyone serves, he should do it with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. What's it matter if no one sees you? Don't you think he sees? If our ultimate goal is to please him, shouldn't that be all that matters? Romans chapter 12, starting in verse 6. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. If a man's gift is prophesying, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve. If it is teaching, let him teach. If it is encouraging, let him encourage. If it is contributing to the needs of others, let him give generously. If it is leadership, let him govern diligently. If it is showing mercy, let him do it cheerfully. Our focus should be to walk in the gifts he's given us. However, we need to do so in a way that shows humility. Spiritual pride is an oxymoron. You're only able to do what you do because he first gave you the ability. Some might say, but Steve, I don't know what he's given me. Then do what you know to do. Live in obedience to his word. That's the basics for all. He'll lead you when the time is right. But remember, it has to be his timing, not yours. Sometimes he sets us on the shelf for a reason. It may not be because you're not ready. It might be because the situation he's prepared you for hasn't arrived yet. So don't get out of his timing. Everything he plans is perfect. But Steve, what if I've messed up? I know I've made some big mistakes. What? Don't you think Yahweh's big enough to work that out? I can think of many people in the scriptures who made big mistakes, and yet Yahweh still used them in a mighty way. Never underestimate what Yahweh can do through you. Let me say that again. Never underestimate what Yahweh can do through you. Do you think you're the only one who's messed up in life somewhere along the way? Trust me, if you're willing, he's able. You need to be patient and wait on his timing. And please, never underestimate what the, quote, small things in life can do for others around you. You may never be big by way of what you think is big. However, that doesn't mean he's not working through you in significant ways for others around you. Lastly, never forget our first calling is to our family. There's no bigger calling than that. Take every moment you can to pray for them. Take every moment you can to be there for them. Live the dream he has for you. When you do, one of the first phrases you hear on the other side will be, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." We hope you have enjoyed this teaching. Now, it's up to you to be a Berean and study it for yourself. That's the only way to grow. Until next time, Shalom.